What's up, everybody? It is the Gaming Goblin, and here with a important video. Well, it finally happened. Way sooner than I thought it would, but it happened. Concord is officially dead. Completely, 100% dead. So a lot of stuff happened this week, and we're going to get into it. I'm going to talk about, what went down since the last videos. An important thing to note, and I kind of asterisked this in some of the comments for the previous Concord videos. I had recorded those videos about like a week or so ago, several days before this announcement, but they were scheduled and came out after the announcement. So, this article we're going to get into here came out on Tuesday. My first Concord video was the next day on Wednesday, so it was kind of poor timing. It makes it seem like it was recorded just then and there. So to clear up any confusion, I had recorded and gave my thoughts on Concord well before any news or announcement of the game's closure. But we're going to talk about that today. So, basically, as we discussed in the previous videos, Concord was not doing well even at launch. Not many active players. A lot of people didn't want to spend the money to try the game out, especially since, like we've said, its competition, Overwatch, Paladins, etc., those are all free to play. So people weren't going to check it out. So what happened on Tuesday was the PlayStation blog put out this article, an important update on Concord. So let's take a look. This was on September 3rd. So Concord fans who've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC, and want to thank everyone who joined the journey aboard the North Star. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad I could help. Your support and passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. A passionate community definitely did grow about the game, just probably not in the way that they were thinking. However, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognized that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we've decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th, 2024, and explore options, including those that will better reach our player. So whenever I first read this, I actually didn't see this part. I thought that they were just pulling the game, moving on. So this kind of lines up, and now this is vague, this statement, exploring options. This is vague, but we've seen this happen with games before. One immediate example that comes to mind is Multiversus. When that originally came out, I think it was a year and a half ago, they had like a Season 0 or I think it was in beta even. People were playing it and they're like, okay, we're going to take the game off, we're going to work on it, focus up on it, we'll come back later stronger. And they did. I think Multiversus is currently back out, has been for a while, and people are playing it. That's maybe not the best example, but games have done that. They've been like, okay, we had a bad launch, let's regroup, let's come back stronger. Kind of like No Man's Sky as well. The difference being, though, you could still buy No Man's Sky, as far as I'm aware, even after its shitty initial launch. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately and will begin to offer full refund for all gamers who've purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PlayStation 5 from the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. Customers who purchased from other digital storefronts will also be refunded. More information about refunds from Steam and Epic can be found below. So it's just saying, depending on where you bought it, you'll get refunded over the coming days. For customers who purchased a physical copy at a retail location outside of PlayStation directly, please refer to the refund process of the retailer you purchased it from to obtain your refund. Once refunded, players will no longer have access to the game. We'll keep you updated, and thank you again to all the free gunners who have joined us in the Concord Galaxy. So, from my experience, I saw the news. It was like 12 o'clock or 1 p.m. on Tuesday. I read this. I'm like, oh shit, it's over. At that point, it hadn't even been 2 weeks. Friday, the 6th, when the game actually closed for good, that was only 2 weeks since its launch. 2 weeks. But I got the news on Tuesday. By the time I had logged into my Steam, the game was already delisted. It was out of my library. I had to uninstall it. And I had my money already. It was a very fast refund process. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to submit the refund myself. It was automatically refunded to me. So I was like, okay, cool, great, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's shocking to me. I knew the game was doing bad, and I was like, I think I joked in my previous videos, I was like, okay, maybe it'll be like a month, or a couple months even, you know? And I did see a roadmap they had for the game. I didn't see it previously, but they were planning like a Season 1 in October, and then like a Season 2, I think, early in 2025, but that's all out the window now. I think this has to be some sort of record for the fastest a game has shut down. 2 weeks, especially from a major publisher. I know there was I think there was this MMO or something called like The Day Before or whatever that came out late last year that only lasted 48 hours before it delisted. But in regards to a major release, like this was published by Sony. Sony bought this studio. This game cost around $100 million to make. That's kind of the number floating around, both in the acquisition of Firewalker Studios that made the game, and also just the cost of creating the game itself, you know, paying salaries, things like that. This is a huge embarrassment for Sony. Like, this is insane. 2 weeks for a major PlayStation game. And normally in the case of, like, you know, a single-player game, you know, let's go back to No Man's Sky, even though they boasted it would be multiplayer, you know, during the press releases. But we'll consider original No Man's Sky from 2016 as a single-player game. Even that had a shitty launch. You were still able to play it, and you could still, you know, buy it, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't really research too deeply into that for my example. But if a single-player game fails, boo-hoo, it fails. Okay, maybe the studio goes under. Maybe they stop selling it, great. But you could still play the game. This is... They want it gone. They want it erased from memory, at least for now. And I was kind of sad too, because I was kind of hoping to play a little bit more before the actual servers shut down on Friday. But there was 3 whole potential days where I could have played, but I wasn't able to because the game was refunded for me. So on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I don't know what time they shut down on Friday, but only people who had the game physically on PlayStation 5 were able to play for the last 2.5 days of the game's life, which is crazy. And speaking of PS5 physical copies, let's take a look at what some of these are going for. Now, again, here's the thing. Here's the thing, is that it's impossible to play this game now. Even if you have the physical edition, you can't play it. It's online only, it's multiplayer only. So this is essentially just a coaster. The game was $40, and let's look at some of these prices now. $90, $300. This looks like it comes with the controller. $394 for just the game. This is the Japanese version. And it's gone up since I last checked. It was starting around 70, 80 bucks. Now we are well over the $100 mark. Look at this shit. So all the diehard collectors who have a copy, you know, they're sitting on gold right now. And I imagine it's only going to go up, because this is not going to be, you know, they're not making any more. I think the number floating around was around 25,000 copies of the game sold across all platforms, physical and digital. So this is going to be like an ET on the Atari situation. But instead of putting them in a landfill like they did with that game, they're going to sell them for exorbitant prices on Mercari, eBay, whatever. Pick your poison. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. So here's a screenshot from shortly after the game's launch. Looks like the 24th. This was the day after the game came out. Here was the all-time peak. 660 players. 254 concurrent players at the time of this screenshot. This was the launch weekend of this game. They couldn't even break 1,000 players. That's crazy. So this game was dead on arrival. And I think the best thing to come out of it is the limited edition controller. Like, that looks pretty cool. And I'm sure the price, this was already, I think, $70, $80 to buy. I'm sure it's gone up. I mean, yeah, look, we can see it right here. $300. $300. $450. This is crazy. This is crazy. But yeah, like, so what went wrong with Concord? We touched on it in the previous videos, but we'll just go over it again. The $40 price tag right out of the gate. Despite, and I highlight a lot of good points in my videos, the game was very feature complete at launch. No bugs, no crashes, no issues, no in-game store, no battle pass, no microtransactions whatsoever. Everything was accessible in the game right out the get-go, except for stuff you had to unlock through gameplay. So that's kind of how they justified, I think, the $40 price tag right out of the gate. The problem is, like we said, the direct competition, Overwatch, Paladins, you know, pick your hero shooter. Most of them are free to play now. And even though Overwatch 2 has overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam, I guarantee there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of more players playing that game than anyone was playing Concord. So, $4 price tag, it's direct competition, it's free. And again, we touched on this before, the hero shooter genre is not as popular as it was, 8-9 years ago. It's kind of fallen by the wayside, and winners of that genre have emerged. Overwatch 1, the hero shooter, it beat Battleborn, it beats Paladins. Paladins is still alive for some reason. It's hanging on. But any competition that Overwatch had at its launch, remember Lawbreakers from 2017? Even that lasted longer than Concord, but still, Lawbreakers was only a year after Overwatch, and by then the genre was already exhausted. People did not want a new hero shooter. They just didn't want it, and especially one for $40. So that's why the game failed. There's other, people are throwing around a bunch of different reasons, about why the game failed as well. But that's the main thing, and that's really the takeaway. You look at the economic factor, $40 for a game. At least it wasn't $60. I think they had the deluxe edition you could buy for $60, but yeah, that was still too much money for a game that absolutely no one was interested in. And I'll cover again briefly some of the highlights that I had. The gameplay itself, I enjoyed. I give it a solid 5 out of 10. The gameplay was engaging, it felt balanced, it was fun. Character abilities felt like they complemented the gunplay rather than you pick a character just for their abilities. I liked them having like a pure deathmatch / kill confirmed mode. I prefer that over objective-based game modes like the ones that are mainly presented in Overwatch. They still had that in Concord, but it was a separate playlist. So the game felt good to play. The progression was pretty fast, but the character designs were ugly, and it kind of felt uninspired. It was basically like discount Guardians of the Galaxy. But you could tell people worked really hard on the game. People are saying like a 6 to 8 year development cycle for this game. So people clearly put a lot of time, effort, and passion into it. We'd mentioned before that I believe some of the people that worked on Destiny worked on like the gameplay for this game, and it kind of shows both in the presentation and the actual gameplay. But yeah, this is the end of Concord. Who knows? Maybe they'll come back, and they hinted that they might come back too. It's vaguely hinted at, and if they do come back, I think the smartest thing for them to do would be to make it free to play. That's really the only way this game could potentially ever last moving forward. So yeah, there we go. R.I.P. Concord. We're gonna have a candlelight vigil tomorrow at Central Park. I don't know, but yeah, that's all I got for this video. I said in the last one that'll be my last Concord video, but so much has happened this past week, I felt like I had to comment on this, and this might truly be the last Concord video. But yeah, that's gonna do it, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did you check out Concord? Did you hear about the controversies? What are your thoughts on what went down? I'll pose a question for the comments. If it were to release next year or further down the line, releases free to play, would you check it out? Let me know. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate your support. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave it a like and consider subscribing. We have new videos going up every single day at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on the channel. We do all kinds of stuff, mainly Let's Plays, funny gaming clips. And in this case, I guess we're doing news now. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.